Welcome back, folks. Well, today we are back on our Barracuda with our coilover suspension conversion. I guess you'd call this part 3. So where I left off was I didn't have a spindle nut for the spindles, which, by the way, your A-body spindles are not gonna fit this. This is a 13/16 thread. The A-body is a 3/4. But nevertheless, we got that, and we bought brand new camber bolts per Denny's instructions. Wouldn't you believe that I bought these camber bolts, and they were expensive, to be honest with you. I didn't think they'd be that much, but I bought 4 of them. Wouldn't you believe one of the boxes was short the nut? So I gotta go buy 1 cam bolt. I didn't even open the other box yet, but anywho, yeah, lucky me. So anyway, I got these installed, and then I cleaned up, buffed up the control hoop. Denny calls this the control hoop right here, the support hoop, I guess. And then I have just now, what I did is I left this loose and I centered it. I centered that support hoop as well as I could. Put a clamp on this side here, and then I drilled my hole, drilled a pilot. I've got the bolt in. I don't have the sleeve in here yet. The sleeve is not in, but I want to drill the other side first, and then we'll drill the bigger hole on just this side only. Just this side only, so we can put our sleeves in there. So I'm about to go ahead and start drilling this side here, and then once I've got that bolt in, it's lined up, then I'll pull the control hoop back off, slide the sleeves in these holes, and then we'll put the bolt nut through. So let's carry on here. All right, I got one sleeve in, about to put the other one in. So I crept up on that. It's a 1/2 inch, maybe just a little bit more, but you don't want it wallered out, because I see what they're saying is, as part of that structural integrity, it resting on the edge of the frame there. So now I finally got this one drilled out, and I like it that I had to tap that one in just a little bit because it had such a good tight fit. Let's see. Yeah. I'm just gonna go in. Let me just see if I can lightly tap it. I don't know. Nope. I need to loosen it up some more. So loosen up just a little bit more, but barely. So, all right, let's keep going. All right, so there it is. So the support hoop is in. Now you saw what I did. I actually had to just kind of tap both sleeves in, but that's what you want. You want them nice and tight. When you drill these holes, a couple of things. You better have a sharp drill bit. Make sure you have a sharp drill bit. And then number 2, you better keep that drill level. You don't want to go here or here or here. Do the very best you can and keep that thing level. So it's just the outside. You're going to open it up to the 1/2 inch from the 3/8 bolt for the sleeve. That sleeve will then tap in. You just want to do it a little bit at a time as far as getting it cleaned up where that sleeve will go in. But that sleeve, you see how thick this is what you're drilling through. You see how thick the frame is right there. And let me tell you, this is some old school thick stuff right here, because it took a minute to drill through both sides of this thing. So now that we've got this side done, now we'll start on the other side. But now I think what we can do, we can either put our simulators in now, or we'll probably just wait and go ahead and get this other side done. And then we will go ahead and put our simulators on, and then we'll put the wheels on it and drop this thing on the ground and see what it looks like. All right, it's the next day. So we finished up getting our control hoops installed, both sides. Got our adjusters on, upper control arm. Got our hub on now, both sides. Now we're gonna, before we go doing our simulators, we're just gonna go ahead and finish out our Wilwood brakes. Just gonna take a second. We're gonna show you just basically how easy it is on these Wilwood brakes. So once we get those on, then, well, I'll put the tie rod in on this side. It's already in on the other side. And then we're gonna put the wheel on, then we're gonna start playing with ride height with the simulators. So let's get started. There's a left side and a right side bracket adapter that goes onto the spindle. So we've already got our right side on. That was part number HNN 11255 on the passenger side. Driver side is going to be part number 11254. We're going to torque these two nuts. It comes with shims right here to space it out. I already know when I had to shim it out because the bolts were hitting the rotor. So I used, I believe, 3 shims between the caliper or the bracket and the spindle. So that way it got the caliper. What they talk about caliper alignment, I see what they're saying. These will go down too deep and they'll hit that rotor. So I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna get these installed and you're gonna see where we put it. Basically, this is gonna come, this long one here is gonna come through the back side of the spindle, pull it up this way. And then this one here is gonna come through this way, right here. And then when we get ready to put our caliper on, these are the 2 caliper bolts here. That's when we'll shim it. So let's get these on first. I'm using Loctite 271. All right, so the short one's gonna go in this bottom one right here. So I like to just go ahead and I can swing it. Got my Loctite. There it goes. All right, and then this top one here, long one, 7/16 with the shoulder, is gonna come through here. And it's going to start right there on that thread. It's going to pull it up. I'll get my ratchet here in a second. Once I know that I haven't cross-threaded it. This was kind of on the other side. I had to really go slow and make sure that this thing doesn't cross-thread. We're going to torque these to 40 foot-pounds. Now we'll torque them. All right, and here's our other caliper right here. Now remember what I used on the passenger side. I used 3 of these shims between basically between this face here and where it goes on to the caliper adapter bracket. So it was this side, excuse me, yeah. So let's get this on, make sure I know what I'm doing. We're gonna see where we're at on what goes where. So on these shims, I'm gonna make it easier on myself this. And there goes the bottom. Make sure this rotor turns. Yep, nice and pretty. Now if you look in here, my other one, I didn't use any shims and the bolt was contacting the rotor. So that's what they're talking about, like lining it up. I've got plenty more shims if I need to go further that way, but it's come along nice. Now let's just go ahead and do the final part here. Put the pads in. We got to torque. All right, don't forget to torque them. 40 foot-pounds. Now, and then last but not least, the nice part about Wilwood brakes. Obviously your hole goes up top. This is all you got to do. Slide these bad boys in there. Look at that. Jeez. And we'll just go ahead and get my needle nose and bend that little cotter pin, and then we got our Wilwood brakes on, man. I can always go back and shim it. There's a lot of things I got to do on this car, but our brakes are now basically on. I've got the flex kit that comes from here to the flex lines. I will get to that, but probably not in this video. But yeah, pretty darn exciting here, folks. All right, so now the moment. I went ahead and got both sides on the tie rod ends installed. There's some discussion I think I read where on an A body only you may have to cut up to 7/8 of the thread. I don't have the extensions on because I couldn't adjust it. You could tell it had way too much toe out, but we'll get to that. Now let's go ahead and get ready to install our extenders. I got my axle shaft that goes up here, and then you got the axle shaft down here at the bottom. I don't think it matters which way is up or down. Here's what I'm gonna do. If you look at this thing right here, I'm gonna go ahead and pull this. Yeah, so it looks like I've got 3 settings. I'm gonna start with the middle. I think that's what most people would do. So we're gonna get this thing on the middle setting here. And let's get this thing installed. All right, get my spacer. Okay, you can tell that's pretty damn far down. I'm not looking for a, that's pretty low. Yeah, man, let's see, I don't have to, yeah, that's pretty low. We go ahead and put the lugs on it and tighten it. But also, that spacer, do I really need that spacer? Let's put some lugs on it and we'll do the other side. That's pretty interesting. Let's see. Okay, I know some of you may think that's pretty cool, but I mean, in reality, it's just way too low. I mean, you look at it from the front, it looks pretty cool. And it's not down on the ground either. You gotta remember, it's gonna sink even more. So, yeah, that's pretty low. So, let's get that wheel back off and let's go to that next setting. All right, so I believe that's the highest setting. That's better. If I look at this right here, yeah, that's going to be the highest setting right there, and that's what I've got it on. So, gotta remember when it sits down, it's going to sit down even more. I do have super stock leaf springs on the back of this car that are coming off. It's going to Caltrack, so it sits cattywampus. When I sit it down, it's going to skew some of this. Now, my question is, you folks that run QA1s, and I know you can adjust that spring up front, and maybe this is kind of in the middle of that range, but man, I don't know how people want it on the bottom. Jeez, man, that is crazy. So let's get this other side on, and then let's put it on the ground. Okay, interesting. Again, these are super stock leaf springs in the back. So it's got a hell of a rake to it. This side, I can't remember. Yes, this side is supposed to sit higher with the super stock leaf spring, so it is sticking up on this side. Let's see what actually, let's go ahead and close the trunk. My brake lines. But yeah, even on this side, you can tell. Now, Caltrax, I can lower this down. But the other thing is the shocks I get from Denny, I'm assuming they will allow me to adjust up as well. So it has a hell of a rake. You guys like to rake. I don't mind the slight rake, but that's a bit much. I don't know, man. You guys in the comments, let me know what you think on this. In some ways, I mean, it's like old school, pretty cool. I don't say so myself. I kind of want to put the hood on it. Those Caltrac springs, you can lower that obviously drastically from the back. I actually, to be honest with you, yeah, we lower that back a little bit, I think it's gonna look pretty mean. Let's look at it from the front. Come around from the front of the camera. I do like the way the wheels stick out further. I wish my Charger did that. I like the offset now with those spacers. I really like the offset. It's raked too much in the back. I have too much space between the rear wheels and the wheel wells in the back. But I think this thing's gonna be pretty darn cool. Yeah. You know what? I think I'm gonna put the hood on it just for kicks. Let's see what happens. All right, folks, you tell me what you think. I think when I get those rear springs on, I think it's gonna be where I want it. I really do. It just needs to sit down in the back, and those Caltracs will do that. Yeah. Okay. Kind of get excited. Oh man. Yeah. Well, folks, you tell me what you think. We got a lot to go back and adjust and probably cut and tighten. Tons to do on that front end. But at least I know now with the simulators on, I know where I'm going to want my ride height now. I want that thing right where it's at. So I'm going to call Denny and let him know what I want for a coil spring package. Probably go ahead and get those Caltracs ordered. Anybody that's any of you Mopar A-body guys out there, you're looking for a set of super stock leaf springs for a Mopar A-body, here you go. So yeah, I'm not going to bore people with the rest of it. You know, there's a lot of, when we get back to doing the steering column and all that, then yes, we'll share with everybody. But you see basically what took place on the Hemi Denny K-frame. I highly recommend Denny. He's always there. He's answering emails and he's fantastic. And everybody I know that has run his product has had a really good success. I'm excited to drive this as a rack and pinion. One more thing I ask you guys, I'm noticing on my, I'm kind of going for the black wheels look, at least here. What do you think if I go ahead and powder coat these black or get these painted black? I think that's what needs to happen. Let me know your thoughts on that, on those hubs. Kind of stands out. But yeah, let me know what you think about the little Barracuda. So if you haven't, please like, share, and subscribe. And you're going along with us on the journey of this thing. So happy Sunday, everybody.